thoughts on that and some of the other news and notes around this Eagles team. Is, man, it has been a weird week leading up to it against the Redskins on Sunday. Josh Paunil, Birds 24/7 over at PhillyMag.com. He joined us for our last Thursday look at the Eagles and the Redskins. Josh, welcome back, man. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Always good, and it's been an odd week, and I know you guys have been asked to play weatherman a little bit here, but the last anticipation, is there anything changed in terms of the contingency plans, or is everything still set for 1 o'clock on Sunday in Landover?
It seems very likely that the Eagles will play at the planned time in Washington on Sunday at 1 p.m. If they do have to go to a contingency plan, which I don't think they will, but if they do, one idea that's been floated around is, playing during Week 8, which is the Redskins and the Eagles, both of their bye weeks, but I'd be shocked if that happens. The NFLPA would not be very happy, and they would probably fight that. If anything, I would guess that they would move the game possibly to Saturday, maybe Saturday evening or Saturday night, but they'd have to make that call, obviously, at least a day in advance, if not more. So it seems that all signs are pointing to Sunday at 1.
Well, okay, Saturday would be interesting. I know people from this area trying to get down there wanting to know what they should do, what everybody's kind of on hold, but no one really has a definitive answer on that. But as Josh has said, the latest we've been hearing as well is that Sunday at 1 sounds like when they're going to go. All right, Josh, let me go back to last week a little bit. And, you see a Washington team that likes to run the ball. They've got a couple of different weapons in the backfield. But you looked at the All-22, and you think the Eagles' front three, the front seven really, that has been a strength, them stopping the run.
Yeah, absolutely. The Eagles rank first in the NFL in run defense, both in yards per carry at 3.1, which is a phenomenal number, and also with 0 rushing touchdowns, which obviously is also an excellent number. They have not just a lot of talent, but a lot of depth. You saw Brandon Baer, who wasn't even active the first 2 weeks of the season, come in against New York and play well. Jordan Hicks, the rookie linebacker, has been good against the run. So that's a front seven that's been very good, and they haven't even had all their starters and even all their backups available to them.
Yeah, and what is that going to look like this week? I know Thornton might have been back, but as you mentioned, I thought Bear was a key contributor with batting down some passes, 3 padded passes down. I mean, how does that position now look moving forward?
Well, Cedric Thornton, I think that's going to be determined by the doctors. And what I mean by that is if the doctors say he's okay to play or leave the decision up to him, I think he's absolutely going to play. He's said multiple times now, regardless of what I'm projected to come back at, I'm going to come back sooner. He seems to be a guy with a high pain tolerance and a guy who wants to play and be out there with his teammates against Washington. If he's cleared by medical personnel, I fully expect him to be out there. Even though the backups, like Brandon Baer, as you said, certainly played well, the depth chart is going to remain the same. And if Taylor Hart is out there, his status is also up in the air. Brandon Baer may not even be active, and that just goes again to show you how deep they are. That Brandon Baer, who had a good game, the 3 pass deflections, as you mentioned, one of which led to Jordan Hicks' interception, may not even be available for the game Sunday.
And Josh, it's funny because, you talk about Alonzo being out and Kendricks being banged up and, Hicks filling in, and you think, man, look, you could get by with all this and you're still talking about a 1-2 team, and obviously that's because of the offensive side of the ball. What were some of the encouraging things that you saw against the Jets that maybe they can take forward and get this thing kick-started?
Well, the most encouraging thing I saw was how Ryan Matthews was running the ball. The Eagles' offensive line showed some improvements in the run game. They were certainly better in the first 2 weeks. They still weren't great, but Ryan Matthews did an excellent job with yards after contact. And, he was having to make guys miss or just run guys over in the backfield or at the line of scrimmage. Chip Kelly has kind of this mentality of I want my offensive line to pick up the first 2 yards and then my running back to get 2 more yards. But Ryan Matthews oftentimes got all 4. And that just shows you how well he and DeMarco Murray, when he returns, will be in this offense. The offensive line doesn't have to open up these huge holes for Matthews and Murray to get going. They just have to open up kind of slivers of these running lanes. And Matthews shows what and again, Murray will be able to do when he comes back, even with these small holes.
Josh Paunil, Birds 24/7 over at PhillyMag.com, and a lot talking about Bradford and whether or not taking shots down the field, and whether it's him, is it the scheme, is Bradford the right guy? Do you just get a sense that this guy is just struggling because he hasn't played in so long? I mean, is it as simple as that, or do we overvalue what kind of player he could be?
Well, I know this isn't the answer that, Eagles fans will want to hear, but the time will tell. And the reason I say that is you ask, Chip or Stan, or really anyone in the locker room, what's the biggest reason for the offensive struggles, particularly through the air? And they say, we don't really know. It's kind of a combination of things. Sometimes Bradford is missing guys down the field who are open. Nelson Aguilar on the first play got open against Rivas and could have taken down if Bradford saw him, but Bradford didn't throw it to him. Instead, he almost threw an interception over the middle. So it's a combination of sometimes Bradford missing receivers, sometimes the receivers dropping passes. But the one good thing, if you want to go back to signs of hope, the offensive line gave Bradford great protection and gave Bradford a great pocket to throw from against New York. So it's been a combination of things. Can't really put your finger on one, but it could be Russ, it could be more. Unfortunately, only more snaps and more throws will tell us the true answer.
Yeah, Josh, and going back to Matthews, you said that was a positive in the game. Some people, felt that he had a fit. Murray, I said coming in that I thought Matthews was the more talented back. This was going back to preseason when they made the signings of both guys. He just doesn't have the accolades. I mean, people know Murray. He's in the division. He won the rushing championship last year. Matthews' his problem, he's been hurt, but he was a first-round pick because he's very talented. I mean, in the end, are they going to have to find ways to get him more involved? I mean, he had 4 carries in 2 games, which is just unacceptable for a guy of his talent.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Matthews is more talented than Murray, but he's certainly very talented. And as you said, if he was able to stay healthy more in San Diego, he would have been a guy that would have constantly been talked about as one of the best running backs in the league. He has a ton of talent, and he, like DeMarco Murray, fits this offense very well. The one cut, get up the field, and it's not just a matter of getting Matthews more. Obviously, he got very few and an unacceptable amount of 2 games, but all the running backs got too few carries. Chip abandoned the running game quicker than you'd expect in those first couple of games, particularly against Atlanta. But it's not just Matthews, but everybody they have to get going, although Matthews does have a ton of talent and is somebody they want the ball in his hands.
Yeah, and obviously this Redskins team, we know that Deshaun Jackson ties there. It looks like he's not going to play. Kirk Cousins really ripped them this year here in Philadelphia. I mean, he threw for over 400 yards in that game. They could be a little light in the secondary over there. They've been pretty good defensively for the first couple of games. But is this, in your opinion, Josh, a game that if Philadelphia wants to be taken serious, even though it's on the road in the division, is this a game that they have to go down and win to prove to people that maybe they've turned the corner?
Yeah, Philadelphia does need to win this game, especially the Redskins would have had an opportunity with Deshaun Jackson to exploit the secondary, but Jake Gruden candidly told the Philadelphia media yesterday on his conference call, we haven't had the deep ball going well for us without Deshaun in the lineup. And now I think was the one area that maybe the Redskins could have exploited, but without Deshaun and without that really good deep threat, I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to be able to beat the Eagles without Deshaun. So this is definitely a game the Eagles need to win if they want to be looked at as a team who's turning the corner and making a serious push for winning the division and making the playoffs.
Yeah, 2-2. The winner of this game goes to 2-2. Big jump for the winner of this game. The loser really scratching their head. And I know the NFC East sounds like it's really bad, but 1-3, it would be a really tough way for either one of these teams to start. Obviously, Philadelphia going on the road. We'll see what happens on Sunday at 1 o'clock. You can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN, where Sam Bradford will have his 4th start. We'll see if he can build upon no turnovers. That's a little undervalued that they did not turn the ball over, Josh, because realistically, as bad as Bradford looked, he didn't turn the ball over, and you could really say the Jets lost the game because their guy turned the ball over 3 times.
Yeah, exactly, and that was one of the things that was clear when you just look at the turnover differential. Even if you're at +1, you're in pretty good shape to win the game. But if you're at +3, as the Eagles were, you're in excellent shape to win the game. The defense certainly carries them to a victory. The only thing with Bradford was he seemed as if he was playing to lose in the second half, only completed 50% of his passes, took very few shots downfield. The season as a whole, he has only attempted 3 passes more than 20 yards, and he hasn't completed any passes of more than 20 yards. And so that's a valid area of concern. But he didn't turn the ball over. Sometimes it's not about winning, but it's about not losing, and that's
right.
what the Eagles did on Sunday.
Good stuff, Josh. Birds 24/7. Check out Josh's all-22 look at the Eagles, and of course, each Thursday here at 5:30, we'll take a look at the last look at the Eagles. The last look at the Eagles practice, where today Murray, the only guy who really didn't practice, was Kiko. So a team that's a little banged up, but getting some guys back, which should be a good sign for a Redskins team that is a little banged up on Sunday. Josh Paunil, Birds 24/7 over at PhillyMag.com. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks for having me.